Only a split-second delay by an American F-16 pilot could have turned him into debris in the skies over Yemen. But what helped him survive that moment miraculously? And why is this considered the boldest direct attack on the U.S. since 2015? The answer lies in the final seconds. At 17:23 on an unspecified date in 2015, the skies off Yemen's coast seemed calm. A U.S. Air Force F-16 from the 421st Fighter Squadron was quietly escorting and supporting Special Operations Forces near the Hedit region. Then, in a fateful moment, the jet became a live target for a SA-6 surface-to-air missile launched by Houthi forces from a hidden platform among the sand dunes. The missile screamed to the air at Mach 2, about 3,500 kilometers per hour, fast enough to turn any target into shredded metal in seconds. The launch was unannounced and undetectable by American ground-based radar. Inside the cockpit, the pilot had only a few seconds, a heartbeat-by-heartbeat race to react. The F-16's ANA/APG 83 nose radar was the first line of defense, detecting the missile from 42 kilometers away. In a snap decision, the pilot executed a dramatic dive from 30,000 feet to 15,000 feet, trying to break the missile's semi-active radar lock. But that was only the beginning. The radar picked up 2, then 3, then 6 more 6 missiles heading straight toward the aircraft, like a pack of wolves chasing prey. The F-16 was alone, without escorts or a way to retreat. That's when America's most advanced electronic warfare systems kicked in. AR-60V sensors detected the infrared signatures of the incoming missiles, triggering the BIS system to deploy MJU 50/B flares and DR-1810 decoys, creating a thick cloud of interference. Yet, one missile still locked on. With no options left, the pilot activated the final trump card, the ALQ-184 ECM pod under the aircraft. It emitted RF waves disrupting SA-6 radar signals in the 6 to 8 gigahertz band, severing the missile's link with its ground controller. The missile veered off course and exploded harmlessly in midair. The pilot survived, drenched in sweat, while the Houthi radar stations below remained intact. More significantly, this marked the first time since 2003 that a non-state force dared attack a U.S. fighter jet using advanced surface-to-air missiles. Just 4 minutes after the F-16's miraculous survival, the Houthi forces launched a second strike, this time at an MQ-9 Reaper drone, a symbol of modern American warfare. They thought it would be an easy target, but it turned into a battle of wits between missile guidance and AI. The Reaper took off from Shabili Airfield in Djibouti, flying at 22,000 feet, tasked with tracking a Houthi supply convoy near hold. Within 10 minutes, another SA-6 missile launched from near headed at Mach 2.8, able to reach the drone in just over 20 seconds. Although unmanned, the Reaper was not blind. The Pandora warning system instantly detected the radar waves and the warhead's heat signature. Within 0.8 seconds, it alerted ground control, who switched the drone to emergency response mode. The onboard and AAQ-47 system deployed 8 MJU, 60/B flares and 16 DR-1810 chaff bundles, creating a massive cloud of thermal and radar noise over 300 meters wide. Simultaneously, the drone climbed to 28,000 feet, trying to exit the effective range of the SA-XS guidance system. But this wasn't a standard missile. It had upgraded seekers capable of resisting decoys. The situation grew dire. The ALR-69 radar warning receiver kicked in, scanning a full frequency range, 0.5 to 20 gigahertz, detecting the SA-XS radar command over 160 kilometers away. This data was fed into the drone's autopilot, executing an emergency roll to deviate 4 to 5 degrees off the missile's path. At the very last moment, a second wave of countermeasures was deployed. The Reaper swerved, and the missile lost its lock, exploding in midair. The drone survived, barely, upon landing. Technicians found the right wing pierced by dozens of metal fragments. The incident showed that even artificial intelligence is not invincible and that modern warfare is now a battleground between man and machine. After these 2 attacks, nearly destroying an F-16 and damaging a Reaper, the Pentagon lost its patience. At U.S. Central Command in Qatar, military leaders decided this would not be ignored. They would strike back, fast, accurately, and without mercy. Their weapon of choice was not the traditional Tomahawk, but the SM-6, a hypersonic naval missile capable of both defense and attack, flying at Mach 3.5 for 300 km/h and striking targets up to 240 kilometers away. At 3 a.m., the USS Buran destroyer received launch orders while patrolling the Red Sea. Two SM-6 missiles fired from its -41 Malawian Quach's vertical launch system using target data from satellites, drones, and reconnaissance aircraft. The targets were the exact mobile SA-6 battery and radar system near-headed that fired on the F-16 and Reaper. Despite their mobility, moving at 60 kilometers per hour through rough desert terrain, the SM-6 missiles followed zigzag flight paths, adjusting altitude and speed to evade enemy defenses. At 40 kilometers out, the missile's active seekers locked onto the radar emissions from the target and hit without warning. No sirens, no alarms, just two columns of fire slicing through the night. Within 6 minutes, the entire SA-6 system was obliterated. Radar vehicle, missile truck, and crew. Debris scattered hundreds of meters. This marked the first public use of the SM-6 in a ground strike role, a message to the world. America no longer defends, it hunts. And a new question arose at CENTCOM. If one SM-6 strike could eliminate a SA-6 unit, what if there were dozens more? Does the U.S. have enough SM-6s, or would it need to deploy long-range strategic weapons like JSOW or Tomahawks? That answer came in the next phase of the operation. Not just retaliation, but wrath from the sky descending on Sana'a, the de facto capital of Houthi forces. Washington ordered a full-scale offensive, sparing no missile launcher. From 18 to 23:30 on May 20th, F divided by a -18E Super Hornets launched repeatedly from the USS Harry S. Truman, this time not with standard bombs, but armed with AGM-154 Joint Standoff Weapon SOWs, GPS-guided glide bombs with over 100 kilometers range, carrying either high explosive or cluster munitions. Targets included missile warehouses, radar stations, and supply hubs. Strikes came in 4 waves, each from different directions, flying low to avoid detection before releasing SOWs from safe distances. As the ground still shook, USS Gravely launched 6 Tomahawk cruise missiles, programmed to fly through mountain passes and directly strike coastal anti-ship missile depots. These slow but nearly unstoppable missiles struck with terrifying accuracy. Satellite and infrared reconnaissance confirmed 14 ballistic missiles destroyed, 3 more SA-6 systems wiped out, and 23 anti-ship missiles incinerated, erasing nearly 40% of the Houthi airstrike capability in under 8 hours. Sana'a was no longer a logistics hub. It became a smoking, dark war zone. This was not retaliation. It was a declaration. America doesn't need to talk or threaten. It presses a button and the world listens. But the war was not over. In the western Yemeni mountains, beneath hundreds of meters of rock, SA-6 launchers may still lie dormant. The Pentagon began to ask, will the Tomahawks return tomorrow night? Or will a new, even more powerful weapon take their place? This was a lightning counteroffensive involving SM-6 SOWs and Tomahawks, dismantling most of the Houthis' advanced weapon systems in under a day. For most armed forces, that would spell defeat. But for the Houthis, the answer remains open-ended. From that silence, troubling questions echoed inside the Pentagon. Yes, the U.S. showed resolve, protecting its forces and sending a clear warning. Any hostile act, anywhere by anyone, would face obliteration. However, the long-term strategy remains murky. The U.S. has aimed to control conflict in the Middle East, not escalate it, especially with Iran, Saudi Arabia, and peace negotiations in play. Despite setbacks, the Houthis, backed technically and financially by Tehran, still possess hidden missile systems and mobile launchers they can redeploy within hours. And they're fast learners. The war is no longer just missiles and bombs. It's a prolonged battle of political will and endurance. This operation cost the U.S. tens of millions. Aircraft carrier operations, missiles, and flight hours. Continued escalation risks international backlash. humanitarian crises, local discontent, and potentially dragging Iran directly into the conflict, triggering an irreversible chain reaction. Now, the U.S. stands at a strategic crossroads. Continue hunting down the remaining SA-6 systems, or pause, deter, and restrain. Meanwhile, the Houthis may regroup in silence or retaliate, perhaps targeting U.S. bases in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, or even threatening maritime trade in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. The end? This is just one unfinished chapter in a high-tech conflict novel in the Middle East, a chapter of blood, steel, and supersonic fire, where every decision can shake the region. And the final question to the audience: after SM-6, JSOW, and Tomahawk, what cards does America still have hidden? And will tomorrow's night sky over Yemen burn bright again, with a light that never brings peace?